We are the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome back to another Toys from the Past. So on today's Toys from the Past, we will be talking about Mr. Potato Head. I'm sure a lot of you remember this toy, and maybe many of you have actually had this one yourself in the past. Or possibly you are of the younger generation, you only know of the stuff that you've seen from Pixar. But even then, if you know of that, you will know that Mr. Potato Head is usually got, the weird eyes, the ears, the arms, and the legs, a nose, and maybe sometimes a hat or some other type of adornment that they actually have on the potato. But what exactly started off this toy and the eventual toy line that it became over the many years that it's been around? Well, it all started with a developer named George Lerner in 1949, and it was first manufactured and distributed by Hasbro in 1952. Now, the original Mr. Potato Head actually wound up being the first toy advertised on television. Now, the original toy was much different than many of you probably know of today, because the original toy was actually just a bunch of plastic parts that were basically push pins that you would actually stick into a real potato or any other vegetable that you may have had laying around. This, however, created many problems and many complaints due to rotting vegetables, new government safety regulations. Now, Hasbro began including a plastic potato body within the toy set in 1964. Now, as you will see in some of the pictures, the original concept of what Mr. Potato Head looked like as compared to what he looks like now has changed drastically, although the basic premise of what it looked like really hasn't changed all that much in the same instance. It is absolutely astounding, although the toy has made some major changes to what it looked like, that basic principle has not changed at all, and you do not see that in a whole lot of toy lines. And over the years, the original toy was joined by Mrs. Potato Head, and they had a younger potato as well. And they actually wound up creating supplemental accessories such as cars and boats and a trailer. And while it has always remained in production since its initial concept, it wasn't until Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head appeared in the Toy Story franchise that the toy line was rejuvenated, voiced by Don Rickles and Estelle Harris. Additionally, in 1988, the Mr. Potato Head show aired but was short-lived, with only one season being produced. Of course, how did this actually come about? Well, in the early 1940s, Brooklyn-born toy inventor George Lerner came up with the idea of inserting small pronged body and face parts into fruits and vegetables to create a funny face man. Some speculate he got the idea from his wife's nephew, Aaron Bradley, who was seen placing sticks inside of potatoes in the family garden. Lerner would often take potatoes from his mother's garden and, using various other fruits and vegetables as facial features, he would make dolls with which his younger sisters could play. The grape-eyed, carrot-nosed, potato-headed dolls became the principal idea behind the plastic toy, which would later be manufactured. As many other toys have wound up being in the beginning, Lerner's toy proved controversial. With World War II and food rationing a recent memory for most Americans, the use of fruits and vegetables to make toys was considered irresponsible and wasteful. Toy companies rejected Lerner's creation, and after several years of trying to sell the toy, Lerner finally convinced a food company to distribute the plastic parts as premiums in breakfast cereal boxes. He sold the idea for $5,000, but in 1951, Lerner showed the idea to Henry and Merrill Hassenfield, who conducted a small school supply and toy business called Hassenfield Brothers, later changed to Hasbro. Realizing the toy was quite unlike anything in their line, they paid the cereal company $2,000 to stop production and bought the rights for $5,000. Lerner was offered an advance of $500 and 5% royalty on every kit sold. The toy was then dubbed Mr. Potato Head and went into full production. And when the original Mr. Potato Head was born on May 1st, 1952, the original toy cost 98 cents and contained hands, feet, ears, 2 mouths, 2 pairs of eyes, 4 noses, 3 hats, eyeglasses, a pipe, and 8 felt pieces resembling facial hair. The original Mr. Potato Head kit did not come with a potato body, so parents had to provide their own potato into which children could stick the different pieces. And while the idea of additional kits or supplemental kits seems like a more modern thing, it was actually shortly after the toy's initial release an order form for 50 additional pieces was enclosed in every kit. But of course, like I stated earlier, by the 1960s, government regulations forced the potato head parts to be less sharp, leaving them unable to prick vegetables easily. So by 1964, the company was therefore forced to include a plastic body in its kit. Around this same time, Hasbro introduced Oscar the Orange, Pete the Pepper, a plastic and orange-green pepper with attachable face parts similar to Mr. Potato Head. Female characters included Katie the Carrot and Kooky the Cucumber. And Hasbro also made a fast food based line called Mr. Potato Head's Picnic Pals. Some characters were Mr. Soda Pop Head and Frankie Frank. Now, while of course all of these were discontinued, Funko revived Oscar and Pete as bobbleheads along with a Mr. Potato Head bobblehead in 2002. And of course, over the years, the Mr. Potato Head has actually grown in size from the original concept, but that basic premise of what it was to look like has really remained unchanged. Anyway, guys, that's all I have on this one. Did you ever have a Mr. Potato Head? Do you remember them? Do you remember seeing the commercials? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, if you've enjoyed yourself, go ahead and destroy that like button for me. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad that you are here, and I hope that you will consider subscribing. And I will catch you all next time. Later, y'all.